how many conspiracy, like, do you believe they landed on the moon?
I don't know what happened.
Do you believe that because this is a common thing, do you believe that every rich person has gained that success by taking advantage of poor people?
No.
Because that's a big thing.
Yeah, that's why the lack of empathy for people in that submersible. You know what? Fuck those fucking people, man.
Well, but by the way, do you think, what are your views of billionaires? Like, do you think that...
I just think it depends on how you got it. If you did it in an underhanded way, even if you're a millionaire, I don't respect you. But if you're a billionaire, if you're like fucking Tyler Perry, he's a billionaire. I'm not mad at him because he fucking figured out...
Medea. Is it Medea?
Medea. And how to like get himself on the other side of the desk to eliminate people putting hands in his pockets. Like as an artist looking at that guy, I look at him like, wow, how did you do that? Right. So I don't look at people like, I mean, if you, but the thing about, there's a stereotype, a stereotype of conspiracy theorists. They always go to the moon thing. Do you think it's made out of cheese? Do you think that was a sound stage? No, I don't think.
Well, there is something, like I
did think the NBA was fixed, and I was.
Oh, you did,
and I was right.
You think there's a script and all that, like that NFL script thing? Like that was a big thing on Twitter. Like,
well, I do think that the fact that they all call themselves entertainment leagues, because then if somebody actually does fix a game, that they can't, for some reason the government gets involved. I don't know why. You can turn our fucking food supply into poison. That's fine. They don't get involved. But if you take steroids and hit too many home runs, all of a sudden, or fucking Lance Armstrong, the Department of Justice gets involved in about a bike race in France. I think it's just all a bunch of, oh, look at this over here. Ooh, who is this guy? And then meanwhile, you can do all of this fucking horrific shit as a corporation, and as long as you help funding their campaigns, they do look the other way. I don't think that that's a conspiracy, and I also don't think it's wild that all of these sports leagues are now in bed with gambling companies.
I think that's a problem. I think that's a big problem.
That was like the number. That was like the number one rule.
That's Pete Rose. That's like Pete Rose was like
ahead of his time,
and he was. They're like, no, Pete Rose is gone forever. And now there's a couple players that have been betting that are like, well, a couple games. And Pete Rose.
I just knew the guy on the Falcons did it.
No, there's someone on the Colts that is going to miss some games. But yeah, it is weird. Like
because they can't punish him too bad, because then they're telling fans that this is a bad thing to do. They basically made a deal with the devil. And I'm saying this as I advertise sports gambling on this podcast.
Well, it's like I like Kevin Hart, but like he's, there is something about those DraftKings things that I don't have any problem with it.
Do you blame Kevin Hart for sports gambling?
I blame him for the mobile wireless monopoly that exists, and for 5G giving people cancer. No, I don't blame him for anything. He wants to be a billionaire. Like of all our friends and comedian peers, like Kevin wants to be a billionaire. I don't know how I got on that topic, but let me explain this. Here's where I'm worried about sports getting in bed with gambling. Some of it is they need advertisers, right? And they also they like the taste of money. Like I don't know how much Goodell makes a year, but
$30 million.
But how much does the league make? You know what I mean? It's like what should his cut be versus Ted Sarandos or that guy who Zaslav made $400 million. I don't know. It's like, but the thing that worries me about this sports betting.
Who the fuck is Zaslav?
He's the guy who owns Time Warner, Warner Discovery. He's the one that. But like
those guys, they any bad move they make, they blame on their shareholders. But then for some reason, shareholders aren't upset when they give themselves $200 million bonus at the end of the year.
I mean, that's also like Goodell.
That's legalized stealing.
He's being paid $30 million. I have to think the owners are like, how much did we make? Oh, we made $800 million. I don't care. Give him 30. You know what I mean?
I don't look. I don't know how this shit works, but I do know that it's a business.
Yeah.
It's a business, and I feel like the way the NBA. I'm not gonna get. I've talked about this too many times. It's just
Really?
and what just pissed me off was when they actually showed that a ref was fixing games. They were able to frame. It was one guy. It was just one.
Really?
Lee Harvey officiator.
Wow. No, but like the gambling
if you
thing-
actually watch, there's the documentary on the Donaghy guy. Like, I actually think that while he was fixing games, and I think he was doing with other referees, I mean, you can't just, as one official, start shaving points and the other guys on your officiating team aren't aware of what you're doing. So at the very least, I think you should have investigated those guys. I also think while simultaneously he was fixing games, literally, I feel like Stern and those guys were massaging certain organizations with the most stars / the best ratings. I mean, they look at their fucking ratings.
Well,
so
bigger markets are going to get more viewers.
Yeah,
right?
so they're going to get the calls. So I don't think they literally said, this team is going to play this team, so this team wins. I think they just, they made sure that the highest rating getters had the best opportunity, the most grease slide to get there. And, I mean, what I just think. And what's funny is all Laker fans have is, what about the time when fucking what's-his-face wanted to come here and they blocked the trade? It's like, all right, 1 out of 700,000 fucking free agents that went your way they didn't let you get. It was Chris Paul. They wouldn't let him come there. And they got all fucking up. And I don't know why that. I still don't know why they blocked that. Because they allowed all of these other ones. So for the while, it wasn't like competition. I'm doing it again.
My whole thing about the gambling thing is my 12-year-old is actually pretty good at basketball, and he.
I say he's gambling. He's pretty good at it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you can't watch the NBA finals without being kind of like gamble. And so he's like, hey, can we gamble on the next game? I'm like, no. I mean, granted, it's the only addiction I don't have, but like. I'm like,
oh, you're one of those guys
that that I
can you not drink and shit?
No, I drink, but like I have a tendency to like addictive behavior.
That's what I have. I'm not a full on, but I'm 3/4 there.
Well, like my whole thing with
you, like food's been a thing for you.
Food is a big thing. Everything.
So you look great right now. Like you've dropped like 30 pounds or something since last time I saw
some of it is I'm wearing a coat, but. But
you know what? It is a red flag when a guy's wearing a coat in July.
Here's my whole thing, and I was trying to explain this to my kids. I'm like, and by the way, this is I did this play, and he won't care. Jason Patrick is this friend of mine who enjoys drinking. He goes, you don't want to be in a position where you can't drink. Some people just are like, I'm done. I think you were like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But like some people are like, they have to stop. And so he's kind of like, he's somebody who's like, loves to have a beer. Like when we did that Broadway play, we would go out every night and he'd be like, the thing is you have to temper it because you don't want to get to the point where you can't ever have it again. And so that's because, if you have an addictive thing, so it's like.
You gotta.
No, you know what I mean?
You do half a shot.
No, well,
I know, and I'd say that's. I think that's the difference between someone who has a problem and doesn't. And I think, look, I think that I could, if I didn't have it at home, but I just know that it just kept getting to that point of me being like, I gotta cut back. I need to stop for a while. And I got sick of doing that.
Yeah.
I'm drinking. I'm not drinking. I'm drinking. I'm not drinking. And then when I just quit the last time, I was just like, I just don't want to go through that first fucking 2 weeks of not drinking before I just don't give a fuck anymore.
Right.
Just trying to get through that. Like I'm doing that with like cigars for the umpteenth time.
Yeah.
Where all I need to do is just get 10 days in, and then I never need to have another one.
Right.
So I'm 6 days in now, and now it's just starting. It's like a relationship. They fade away, and you move on to somebody else. And I feel like...
And you eventually don't even miss it. Like when I've been eating really healthy, this is 20 years ago, but like I didn't eat Doritos, and you wouldn't even want to eat a Dorito when you're eating healthy.